very few things hit, like that first sip of tea in the morning. Having sugar instead of Splendid would probably make it that much better. What's up, everybody? As always, this is Full Primal Power Patrick, your favorite, absolute favorite 600-pound bencher. I'd say it's in like 3 different weight classes, but it's not. It's all in the super heavy weight class, even though I've lost 60 pounds and still bench 600. But we've got our breakfast. We got 3 eggs, 185 grams of 96.4 beef, and absolutely zero will to live with this meal. I'm kidding. I cooked up the beef this week with, I spiced it with salt and pepper. That's usually what I spice it up with, but I threw in some paprika and cumin to try and get a little taco seasoning going on in there. That was a mistake, because cumin is very powerful. Cumin is very strong. You need very little amounts of cumin to make, that taco zest, and it's very overpowering. So I had, on my rest days, I get a meal that has beef, pasta sauce, and pasta, and the cumin overpowered the Italianness of the rest of it. So it's time to eat, boys. There is the finished product. We got some oral lubricant on there, also known as ketchup. Kind of weird that it's called a condiment and not oral lubricant. Just a little food for thought. Food. We also have a bagel with honey on it because my insulin sensitivity has skyrocketed since I lost 60 pounds. And when you have a lot of muscle mass, as I've developed, and you build it in the right way, it requires more calories, of course. But the way things work on a biological level is the way that the body distributes glucose and carbohydrates and the like is through insulin. And if you've got a lot of carbohydrates and glucose in your system, it's almost like a highway where you've got a lot of insulin, and when you don't consume a lot of glucose and you do it through other sources of carbohydrates like starches and other healthy carbs, that highway is like traffic free when you don't have a lot of glucose in there. But if you eat a lot of like sugary and glucose heavy foods like cookies, cake, candy, stuff like that, it starts to get a little backed up. So my body, because I don't eat a lot of glucose and I've been sticking to my diet like 100% for the past, I've lost 60 pounds or whatever. That highway is just zooming. People are it's the more muscle mass you have, the more lanes there are on that highway, because your body's going to require more and more fuel to keep that muscle mass, keep it. So my highway is basically like a 10-lane highway, no traffic right now. So if I don't consume a large amount of carbs in the morning, my morning bagel with this meal is a bagel with about 50 grams of honey on it. That's a lot of carbs. That's a lot of glucose. And then I go for a walk, and it kind of speeds up that traffic a little bit. Gets the 18-wheelers in the left lane, gets them speeding along when I take my buddy walk, and then I'm ready for my next meal, which is Fruity Pebbles with Fairlife fat-free milk and a protein shake, and that puts more carbs on there. So we pretty much in the morning we fill up, and it's because of the time that I train. It's not as important to fill up all 10 lanes of the highway if you're not going to train immediately after, because then they get there and they're like, all right, let's unload, but there's nothing, there's no workers unloading the glucose. And when you go train and stuff like that, that's when the workers unload the glucose. So when you're timing your macros, you want the majority of your carbs to be like surrounding your training time. So I've got this morning glucose dump, and then I've got my pre-training, and then intra-training I have a carb drink, Carbolin. I've got 2 scoops of that with two scoops of creatine, and I need to get some essential amino acids to help with that stuff, because protein molecules are basically just different orientations and different combinations of amino acids. I think there's 13 or 16 chains, something like that. I studied biology for a little bit in college, and freshman year, and I graduated college 4 years ago, so that's almost 10 years ago that I remember this from. But yeah, the majority of your, not like dirty carbs, I mean, yeah, your dirty carbs should surround your training. And then the rest, nice, slow digesting carbs, potatoes and rice would be the go-to for the rest of your carbs throughout the day, to kind of, like, if you're flying, you're in a fighter jet, you're flying, and then you don't want to land on an aircraft carrier. That's very jostling. You want to slowly land, and you want to eat like 2 hours before you even go to sleep, so that your body's able to properly, so that your food doesn't negatively affect your sleep, because your stomach still is working. It's able to sleep when you sleep, but if you eat too close to bedtime, it's still working. It's not able to sleep as well, so it gets groggy. So you want the best digestion possible. You want it's a lot of little things that you wouldn't really consider that really add up to really big things. Oh, that's my face. Something about blueberry bagels and honey. They complement each other. It's chef kiss. Ugh. Fruity Pebbles. I got 10 minutes to eat, or 5 minutes to eat. Oh boy. Welcome to the car talk of, what was it, May 2nd? 2024. So, I didn't explain what I had today. So, we had breakfast, or we woke up, we had breakfast, we took Buddy on a walk. We had second breakfast, which is the pre-training meal. We've got our Carbolin and creatine. I forgot my gallon of water. Hopefully I don't need it. It's a bench day. I hope I'm not dehydrated. I didn't hydrate very well yesterday. It's a bench day. We've got Larson presses. I believe it's a three or four sets of 10. At 330 pounds, not too heavy. We're still doing light stuff, and we're working on, I don't know what they're working on. Coach has a plan. Coach knows what coach knows. And then we've got incline dumbbell press, incline skull crushers, probably some back and bicep stuff, maybe biceps, I don't know. But that's what we've got going on training today. And so I started, one of my followers, Storied Strength, followers, subscribers, he suggested a bunch of books and for me to read, because I started reading Godclads, which is a book my brother recommended, and my brother's been 100% on the books he's recommended. But this one, I don't know. It's like an overly complex cyborg zombie progression, and I was like, not really, not my cup of tea. And Storied Strength gave me a bunch of recommendations, and since I've unhealthy Audible addiction, I went through and I didn't have a Audible credit, so I found one that was free on Audible, and that was Blind Sight. And so this book, starting off really good. I like it. Basically, aliens pop up out of nowhere, take a picture of Earth, and everyone freaks the fuck out. That's about as far into the story I am. But it got me thinking, because I've been reading a lot of progression fantasy for a while, and it got me on the topic in my head internally of world building versus built worlds. Because a lot of the progression fantasy, you've got this new character, either new to the world or kind of starting their journey in the world. It's not always isekai, but sometimes it is. And you learn about the world along with the character, which it's easy to follow along with. And a lot of stories, they'll set their universe or their world in the current world, and that's a built world because the reader already has their built up assumptions about the world and how it operates. So you've got this, you're building a world as the story progresses versus this world that's already present and the story happens in it. And it made me think, because Blind Sight is in a built world where it's our own world, but it also has a little bit of world building because it's in the future. It's a sci-fi epic novel. And got me thinking, it's like, what... There's fatal flaws in both versions of storytelling, which is why reading, storytelling, and all that entire literacy kind of world is kind of interesting to get into, because it takes some style, pizzazz, and skill in order to have properly operate within either world system of either building a world or operating within a built world. Like I read a book, I'm not going to mention the title, but it was a built world, and they just threw a continent on the built world, and nothing made sense. It was almost like the entire world, just this new continent or island, it didn't make sense anymore. And then they did the X-Men thing where they were like, here's a new type of person within this world. Okay, it works out. But a lot of the pieces didn't come together. And then when you build the world, you can go into fatal flaws where you think something is right or it fits the theme of the world that you're building, but it doesn't. And I haven't read a lot of bad progression fantasy. I mostly look up what Travis Baldry's narrated and kind of go with that flow. But I can see how there's a fatal flaw there, because if there's inconsistencies in, like, if you mention something offhand, a reader catches on to it, and then later on it's not true, and you don't specifically state, oh, this, or there's a lot of hand waving, like, just kidding, this wasn't real the whole time. It's almost like secret society kind of, oh, by the way, there's this secret society in control of the entire world this entire time. Whoa, or like waking up, oh, it was all a dream. Woo! Spooky stuff like that. And that's bad world building. So it makes me wonder, what do you guys think? Do you guys like built worlds or world building better? Because I feel like, personally, I haven't had as much experience with good built worlds. I've had a lot of bad experiences reading stories with bad built worlds. But, well, one of the best people, the absolute Mozart, Beethoven, holy trinity of built world stories is Stephen King. And he puts so much detail into everything. You'll be like, I didn't even know that was a brand. You look it up and you see the logos and everything. Or like the joke that what was it? Someone read that, like, the garbage man wearing a Boston Bruins jersey and had his hand on a hand of glory that could summon bats on a whim. And then they go to New England. They're like, or they read that and they're like, how does Stephen King come up with these people? And then they go to New England. They're like, ah, yes, that makes sense. Like Stephen King's built world stories. Chef kiss. He is the textbook progenitor of built world stories. He's the king of built world stories. And I don't know if there's a king of world building stories yet. I guess so. Then there's this debate. I don't know. What would you call Middle Earth? Because it could be considered either world building or built world, because J.R.R. Tolkien built the world, built all the languages, built the history and everything before he wrote, or I don't know if it was before. There's a weird timeline going on with The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, but the world basically existed, and it wasn't any sort of progression or like learning about how the world operate. It was just adventure in this world. So it could be built world. So there's that debate going, but it could be just, it was such good world building that I guess he could be considered the king of world building. But outside of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, his it's almost like all his literature, like the Tales of Tom Bombadil and the Silmarillion, all that stuff is, I guess Harry Potter could be a progression fantasy too, kind of. I mean, it doesn't have the leveling system, but I mean, no, I mean that's not a staple of world building, progression fantasy. Is Harry Potter progression fantasy? That's a good question. Because like world building, you could see Narnia could be a story of world building, where they go into the wardrobe, they know nothing about the world, they learn about the world. You as the reader learn about the world along with the characters. I personally didn't like Narnia. They're intended to be children's stories. They're intended to be Christian children's stories, which is something unique. I like the author. I read one of his books because he made it a point to correspond with everyone who wrote him letters, and then someone compiled it into C.S. Lewis. Someone compiled it into a book of C.S. Lewis on writing, and it was a really good book. And he was like, just write something, think about it a lot, and your brain's going to be like, what if this? What if this? And just keep going. Let your brain go wild. Like, what if there was a fantasy world with a light post? What kind of people would be there? How does Santa Claus fit into this? Because J.R. Tolkien said Santa Claus doesn't belong in fantasy books. So, fuck him. I'm going to put Santa Claus in this fantasy book. For some strange reason, it didn't fit. But those are my thoughts. I dropped Buddy's other human off doing my free Uber service, to which I don't get paid for. And we're almost at the gym. I ate my Fruity Pebbles in 6 minutes, and we left on time, dropped them off on time, and I didn't have time to do my pre-workout or do a poopy, so I've got to do that too. But 'tis what 'tis. We got that. If we can rush through this bench day and get some solid time and work done, then we'll be happy today. Because after this, we go home. I didn't have time to wash out my rice cooker and prep some rice. So there's that. I've got 90-second prepackaged rice that I can use, but 2 packets of that is 500 grams of rice, as opposed to the 400 grams that I need. And I don't like wasting anything ever. But I might have to do that. But anyways, I'll see you guys benching. Alright, Kemosabe is pretty good gym day. Got in and out of there in about an hour and a half, which is surprising for a compound movement day. I mean, given it was a light, super light bench day, only going up to 330 for 3 sets of 10, 3 minutes rest. All things considered, it was pretty fast. We didn't dilly-dally. Even without the Instagram and Facebook locked, we've gotten into the habit of not looking at the social media as much while we're in the gym, and that's expediting our training days. We're not wasting as much time in between movements. We've got those timed rest periods, which keep us honest during the same movement, but it's in between the movements where I usually end up dilly-dallying a little bit too much for comfort. But we didn't get into that. I'm done, let me just doom scroll Instagram for some dopamine for 20 minutes. We just went and we did the work. And doing it faster and doing it this way I got pretty big pumps. It's just there was no vascularity, so I was a little sad at the pump for the pump check. It was a little saddening that I didn't have a lot of vascularity. I see a lot of vascularity when I'm like in the mirror, or like, oh yeah, you can see a little bit there, or like, it's the lighting in here is bad. It's 64 outside. My car was in the sun, so of course it's I got a 124 in the car. So I got the sunroof open because hot air rises, so adding a little bit of a chimney to the car to cool it off a little bit quicker. And as we drive, scientifically, hopefully it sucks the air out a little bit better too, get a little bit more circulation going. But pretty good day. I am finding a little bit that my touch position on these Larson presses is inconsistent, which is not good. And because on the at the Ghost Clash 3, my third attempt bench, I got too excited and my touch position soared up towards my nipples, and that's not good. You want it on somewhere on that first ab, and that's a wide margin to have a rule for. So I need to work on making sure it's a little more consistent towards the middle of that ab, or find a position where it is most beneficial for me to have my touch position when performing the bench press, because consistency is key. And if I want to be benching 700 in the next 5 years, then I gotta be more consistent with that. But the incline dumbbell press, pretty easy. I'm gonna have to increase the weight on that. I think last week I struggled a little bit, so I guess we got the blood flowing pretty well today, because that was easy. The incline skull crushers, those were easy, but I felt a little bit of stickiness in the tendons in the right bicep, which is a little weird because my left bicep is the one that's a little tighter because of my pec tendonitis, which yeah. But the standing flies, bent over standing cable flies into the close grip tricep push-ups was it was all right. I remember when I talked to my coach about the contralateral split squats the other day, he was like, just remember, you don't get extra points for going fast. And I was like, yes, I need to remember the 0132 training principle that I developed myself based off of the lessons that I've learned and the guidelines, and that'll help me with my recoverability with things, because we're not trying to be accessory heroes, we're trying to be platform heroes, and that's supported by good stretching under tension, which is the accessory movements. So having to do slow those down on the sets after the video, the 2 sets after the video, and the close grip push-ups, working on explosives there, trying to make the first little pop off the chest as strong as possible through repetition and volume. And then the biceps, those always just feel good, especially with the metrics and not metrics, but the guidelines that we've developed over the past year and a half of how to properly do them, learning that the bicep is also controlling the twisting of the forearm motion, so kind of leaning into the contraction of the bicep by not doing just hammer curls, but doing those like regular dumbbell curls where I'm pushing the pinkies towards the sky at the top, holding that contraction for a second, and then slowly letting the eccentric go. One of the things that I that sprung to mind is when people slam their weights, they're missing out on the eccentric, which is where 55% of the gains come from. And it's like, it feels good to slam the weights, but it's like, that's all it does. It makes you feel good, but it's not in any way, because you're missing out on a little extra gains and stuff like that. It's like when someone drops a deadlift from the top, everyone just goes, oh, this guy, you know? And if you're doing that on like cable machines and stuff, you're missing out on that eccentric, and you're also making a spectacle of yourself, which, I mean, be respectful to the other people in the gym, you know? And I'm only saying this because I've been guilty of it, and it's learning how to be a more adult, if that makes sense. Learning how to put myself in other shoes without being judgmental and stuff like that. Still learning, but like once I figure this out and how to be a better version of me, then the stress of just me being a doofus and I wish my dick was that big. I hope you guys all heard that. We can all judge that. It's acceptable to judge people who make their cars extra loud for no reason. It's acceptable. But when you mitigate the stress that you cause on yourself by being a dumbass, I'm hoping, no, I'm not hoping, but it's the logic dictates that things will come better. Things will be more precise. You'll recover better, and by recovering better, you'll be a better lifter. So, gains inside and outside the gym. And I gotta prep my rice once I get home, and then let Buddy out, and then get my chicken started. I am very dehydrated today. I didn't bring my gallon of water to the gym because I was in such a rush to do my free Uber duties. Not duties or obligations. I need to have a tough conversation about that. But, yeah, I forgot it. And I went straight from dropping them off to the gym. So all I had was 24 ounces of liquids. Not good. Not good at all, because I probably sweat more than that. But anyways, I'll see you guys with mealtime. So I was putting my homemade window covers in my car because I'm completely prepped to, or almost completely prepped to, live in my car. And then I'll look at my hood, and there's all these dirty little cat paws on it. There's a cat using my car as a jungle gym. It's gee willikers. Oh, I'm not going in that door. At least it's not scratching the car. That would be bad. But I got the windows cracked slightly. Get some fresh air in. Hopefully no bugs come in that way either. But homemade window covers so that people can't look into my car if I'm taking a nap in there. I need to finish off. I've got the front windshield, back windshield, and the driver's side back windshield left, or back window left to make the Reflectix for. And that one I just have to put the duct tape on it, black duct tape, so it's not like super, hey, there's Reflectix in this window. It's more of like a, you wouldn't really know unless you looked deeply into it kind of thing. And yeah, because I don't have to wait like 40 minutes to just get in my car because it's too hot, or get too dehydrated every time I go into my car. Kitty. Hey, bud. I don't like getting stepped on. Would you mind not stepping on? No? You gonna step on me harder? Would you mind getting off me? I have to go stir my chicken. I got chicken cooking. It's not for you. It's not for you. Please leave me alone. I don't like getting stepped on. Can you get off me, please? Ah! No. Little guy. Why is it, please get off me, buddy. Please get, ow. Ah! Right in the deck. 240, oh. I was under the impression that you were short on time. Buddy, back. I'm a little distracted. 245 grams chicken, 400 grams rice, honey mustard, one asshole, another asshole, and the last asshole. Dinner was 220 grams of 96.4 beef. Today I learned that 5 pounds of beef is not enough for a week's worth of my food. So I don't have enough beef for tomorrow, which is going to be a little interesting to try and finagle that. Which it's there's something weird because I got 5 pounds of beef and 5 pounds of chicken. The chicken going strong. The beef I ran out tonight. So, and I eat more chicken than I do beef. So something's not adding up there. I think maybe more beef cooks off. And it's 96.4, so it should be good, but I'm gonna have to get either 6 or 7 pounds worth of beef next week, or for next week. I'll probably go to the store on Saturday when I don't have a training day. But we got 3 chapters read for the audiobook, and I was gonna record some of that stuff for you guys, but I also ramble a lot, and I already trimmed this video down from an hour and a half before this clip even starts, down from an hour and a half to what it's going to end up being at. And I'm finding issues with productivity when I have access to my phone, and being that I'm working on my own dime, I'm not a government worker anymore. My time is more valuable to myself than it was at my old job, where I literally just showed up and overperformed, outperformed everyone at work, and worked at maybe 10% capacity. And I developed some bad habits working that way, where I would often get distracted, and that's not good for productivity. So I've instituted a new rule for myself that I don't bring my phone into the recording studio, and I worked out pretty well today. I did the same amount of work today that I would have gotten in twice the amount of time if I did have my phone. But also, my skill level when it comes to the techniques required of me to produce quality audiobooks are getting elevated. So I'm getting better and better at reading audiobooks, which is exciting. It's real exciting. And I can't wait until I'm done with this book. It just keeps getting spicier and spicier, and it's actually really good. But part of me is like, is this written by AI, or, because there's a lot of typos. There's a lot of typos, and I'm like, do I read what's written, go all Ron Burgundy, or do I correct the typos? Because a lot of the typos just grammatically don't make sense. There's like start and stop sentences that aren't full sentences, that should have been commas, stuff like that. And could be an AI, but I don't know. Or the guy dictated what he wanted. I mean, he could have dictated the plot to someone or something that just quickly jotted something down. I don't know. It's an 11-hour audiobook. I'm about 5 hours into it, and it's decent. It's the story's good. It's just the writing is a little something to be desired, but it is what it is, and I'm enjoying it. It's one of those jobs where it's like, I wish I had more time in the day to do it because I'm having a lot of fun, and my productivity is increasing. I could probably read this book start to finish, but the personal responsibilities that I have, like eating, breathing, sleeping, stuff like that, and everything to do with other people. People are awful. I want to avoid all people. I'm kidding. Mostly. But I could probably read it start to finish and enjoy myself the entire time. It's the energy is really lacking, and it's kind of, I read I think it was by Daniel Coyle, the Culture Code, and another book, and he explained that when you make being successful more accessible, like adding like a scent to soap, people are gonna wash their hands more often if they like the scent of soap, and that's gonna spread less disease. Being successful like that. And his example was like, I think it was in Afghanistan. They introduced soap, no one used it. They introduced scented soap, and disease got cut down by a lot. But the room I'm in is the exact same width as my shoulders, and it's the exact same depth as me. For kind of maybe like the wiggle room of 1 gallon jug, because I'm able to store my gallon jug at my feet and pick it up and put it down. Taking it out between me and the shelves that I've got my computer on and my recording equipment. But that's it's hard to get in and it's hard to get out. And if it were easier to get in and out, I feel like I'd be less hesitant when trying to start, because once I start, it's easy to keep going. It's really easy. But yeah, I'm enjoying it lots, and I hope me sharing that the journey of learning the whole thing, and what I'm noticing and sharing with you guys, I hope you guys are enjoying that too. But it's I think pretty soon I'm going to start doing on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm gonna cut my recording time down probably in half or so, and try and hit the DoorDash and Uber Eats rush on Fridays and Saturdays. I estimate that I'll be able to bring in maybe $100 each day, so $200 a week. Just keep me afloat, some sort of cash flow coming in, because my bills every month is $800, and I'm trying to get the audiobook recording started, and once that starts, that'll be able to upkeep itself and upkeep my personal lifestyle. But maybe you guys will see some of that. Maybe bring you guys along for that, or because I'm also writing a fiction book, and I've got a powerlifting ebook, and some people have requested other powerlifting ebooks. I might just write in the downtime during that, but that'll be sporadic and touch and go and stuff like that. So I don't know how it's gonna work out until I do it. So I'm gonna go inside, eat my bagel. It is, enjoy my hand, 8:30. Eat my bagel, take my nighttime stuff, and then go to sleep. Hopefully, get off to an early start. Be in bed by 9, sleeping 8.5 hours after that. So that would be, I'm gonna do a little bit of abstract algebra. Do a base 11. What was it? Not series. Ring, I think. No, rings have rules. Just abstract algebra. Mod 11. We're using mod 11 for 12 because 0 is included in mod 11. So, except 12 is 0 in this example. So 9 plus 8 is 17, minus 11 is 6. So either we take 12 into account, and we're waking up at 5 a.m. That's the abstract algebra going on. That's the only class I got one of 2 classes I got a C in college. And I only got a C in abstract algebra because I turned in the final, which was worth 25%, to the TA instead of the teacher, so I didn't get credit for it. So I would have had an A in that class if I had turned it into the correct person. But the other one was one-dimensional real analysis, and that's also the only class that I took that was graded on a curve. The class average was a 20. So I'm gonna go eat my bagel, and I'm gonna go to bed, and I'm gonna wake up early. I have to do my morning Uber duties, free Uber duties. I have to drop them off at 7. Hopefully I'll already have my morning stuff done and accounted for, so I can go straight from there to the gym at 7 in the morning, get my deadlifts done, get an early start to the rest of the day, and get some good recording done. And I get a free meal tomorrow, so that'll be interesting for you guys to see, because I don't record a lot of my free meals because they're not on training days, and you guys don't like non-training days. You guys don't like any of the videos. I went from getting like, was it 800 on my first video back from the Ghost Clash to 50. So I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll figure it out. But those who are watching, they're watching a lot, so some people enjoy it. I gotta figure out. Videos are probably just too long. I talk too much, so I'm gonna go eat that bagel. I've mentioned that like 4 times. Stop it, Patrick. Stop talking in circles. Just do it. Just bite the pillow. Bite the pillow. Going wrong. 2 bagels with orange marmalade. I also had a protein shake, but I already drank that too fast and I forgot to record it. But thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I was gonna say something stupid, but it was inappropriate. YouTube would have flagged it. Bye.